Hey, what's up with it? What's up, Ryan? What are you prepping? We're just getting ready. We're getting all kinds of stuff, to be honest. We got to get some more demonic runes. We're doing Skolo right now. Gonna get a couple Skin of Shadows. So we have our next Arcanum ready. Just kind of hanging out. I figured I haven't streamed in like a week or so. Just gonna hop on and kick it for a little bit. We got some new upgrades. We got the Flare Core legs, which are our Bis legs here for basically all of phase 3. But just hanging out. The main thing is I gotta farm up a bunch of demonic runes, and I need to farm up mats for mana pots. That's the big one. Big 2, I should say. We have BWL tomorrow. Which should be pretty fun. I'm actually pretty hyped for. Mess with this thumbnail here real quick. Well, see, we did really good on our parses this week in Molten Core, so I'm excited to see how we do in BWL. Is that a helicopter? What the fuck is that sound? How many demonic runes do you usually use in a raid? So on Thursday we did all of MC, and then we also did Razor Gore. Like we finished MC, and then we went and did a few attempts on Razor Gore. I went through 17 demonic runes. 17. So I mean 17's a lot. I didn't need to go through that many, I don't think, in hindsight. Hold on, I'm changing my desk up a minute here. We didn't need to go through 17 in hindsight, but at the same time, like, I kind of like overuse them just to ensure that I'm at full mana as much as possible. Probably could have gotten away with like 10, 12, something like that. You don't really need them that much in MC, honestly. You can usually get away with either one mana pot, or even if you just innervate yourself, or you don't really need to use consumables too much in Molten Core at this point, at least for us. Like if your guild's doing well, I mainly wanted to do it to try and push my parses. So I was like using Moonfire, doing some different stuff that's maybe not fully optimal. But we got a couple big upgrades. We got our Orb of Dark Moon, which is a really, really good alternative for our neck piece. I also did get Band of Sulfuras off of Rag this week, but it's not really that good for DPS. And we got the Flare Core leggings. We have our Mana Igniting Cord. We got the trinket. So we got some good stuff. We're pretty close here to being real decked out. I'm hoping in a couple more Molten Cores we'll be really dialed in. I need to get a weapon. That's my biggest gap in my gear. Robes of Volatile Power and a weapon, and I'll be in a really, really good spot as far as for like BWL clears and progression. Damn, dude. You gotta love the trinket proc. Solid 350 DPS. Let's go. Yeah, the new world buffs, the Darkmoon Fair buff and the candies from the Valentine's Day event, as well as like the intellect buff, are really, really massive. I wish I had a weapon right now, like a good caster weapon, because I definitely would flask to try and get parses with all these buffs. It's really massive, honestly. The 10% damage from Darkmoon is fucking huge. So much extra damage. Okay. Casual 2k crits. Once I get the chest though, the chest's gonna be huge. 2% extra crit basically on top of what I already have, and some more stats in general. It'll be really big. Be at like 15-ish% crit baseline, and then you have world buffs on top of that. I'm really hyped for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We also got a couple nightfalls in our guild now too, so that's also really, really huge for just our overall DPS. God damn it. Ooh. Pull this other group. Starfire stun. OP. OP. I think we'll get close to Exalted. Stian Fog, what's up, man? How you doing? I think we'll get close to Exalted after this run. I'm like already really close. We're like a couple thousand reps. So this plus whatever turn-ins I have will be Exalted with Argent Dawn already. I wonder if anyone already has blood for summoning this boss. I forgot Monday's a holiday. Technically. Technically. Go drop the deeps. Oh, of course we rip aggro. Nice. Top back. Top back. Jesus Christ. But we'll see. Yeah, my plan is, so we have raid tomorrow, like tomorrow evening, and so I'm probably gonna stream it just because it's gonna be progression and it's all like new content for us. We did some Razor Gore attempts on Thursday, but we didn't kill him, so it'll all be pretty new content. So we'll see. I'm probably gonna stream it just from balance perspective. I feel like it'll be pretty interesting. So that's what I'm thinking as of right now. But I wanted to get a couple attempts of the fights like under my belt to be, so it wasn't super fresh, because Razor Gore is so chaotic in the beginning. But I plan on doing a guide basically for like balance specifically, as far as what you do on each fight. Once we kind of get through it, and I'll put some clips together and stuff like that, kind of like a Moonkin BWL guide, I guess would be like the best way to say it. Oh, nice. We won one of the runes. Let's go. I also have skins on res for this this run. We'll see if we can, hopefully these guys are down to clear all the skeletons in that lower room, because there's a good chance for them to get skins, for them to drop skins. It's like the only mobs that can do it. And the first boss, the little lower basement portion. And we'll see. Each skin is basically worth 25 gold. So if I can get 4 skins this run, that'd be pretty massive. I did actually too. I also recorded our MC run this week, and I might post that. I had a number 2 parse on this week's MC run. What's Noggin Fogger? Yeah. Boom, Skelly. I totally forgot about the Noggin Fogger elixirs. They're really awesome for Druid too, because you can be informed but you stay as like a skeleton. Oh, I pulled both groups. Yeah, we were popping off on this last MC raid I got. With all the world buffs and stuff, I literally was critting over 3,000 Starfire crits. Like 3,200. It was fucking insane. For the current gear level, without a flask, that was pretty intense. We might even flask on Sunday's raid. We'll see. I'm gonna bring one with me, and we might flask Sunday's raid. Dude, on our server, the flasks are so fucking expensive. It's literally 200 gold for a flask of Supreme Power, which is so steep for one raid, but can we get a crit? Can we kill all the skellies in the basement? Damn, dude, so many dark runes. Don't blast wave, don't blast wave. I don't like these little minor scourge stones. Take up too much space. Hopefully these guys are down to kill the skeletons in the basement. Jesus Christ, dude. Can trank after this hurricane. We have enough time on Vark skin. Help our healer guy out. I don't know what this playlist is. You will see if we hope we don't get any stupid music. Last song was pretty crap. We'll see though, BWL. I really want to kill Neff. I'm curious how I think for our group, I think that Razor Gore is going to be our most difficult fight. Just because it's so kind of like unorthodox. So I'm hoping that the balance of the raid is not going to be too bad. It seems like the DPS check for Veil isn't too bad based off of like all the stuff I've seen. But we'll see. Resist feels bad, man. But we'll see. I think hopefully, I mean, like I was watching S-Fans, right? And they were having so much difficulty leading up to the last two bosses, and then they one-shot Chromagus, they one-shot Neff. My only concern is we kind of have a lot of priests. We're pretty caster heavy in general, so we have a lot of priests, we have a lot of warlocks, and we have a lot of mages. So I could see Neff being kind of disproportionately difficult for us because of that. But we'll see. That's my only concern with BWL in general is just like our comp, our raid comp is very caster heavy. So I think in later phases we'll have a really easy time because warlocks and mages scale so hard later, right? But I think in the earlier phases it's going to be, I don't know, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Like if you look at all the BWL stuff now, right? The comps are basically 15 warriors. And like pick whatever the hell else you want for the rest of it. Just like 15 warriors and then you know, the rest of your raid. And I think we have 6 warriors, I think. So we're at like a little bit of a disadvantage just because warrior DPS is so strong, especially on some of those earlier fights. Like the Razor Gore fight, warriors are so good just because they can basically tank. Their initial like on-demand DPS is so strong. I don't know. Damn, dude, let's go. I still need to kind of figure out the optimal rotation when I pop this trinket for a 15-second time window. Because I don't know if you guys saw right there, it clips. So that the talisman clips, and if I don't get the Starfire off in time, I waste the last couple seconds of the buff. So it'd be more beneficial, I think, to cast a Moonfire. We should just make a weak aura for it, honestly. I should do that right now. Oh, nice. View room 8. Okay, it's on me. It's on me. I think we can do that. Of course, combat. Combat, combat. What is the buff called? Is the buff called Talisman? I should figure that out, because if I can get that and I have it right here, it'll be easy, because then I can figure out if it's 2 seconds, then we cast a Wrath. You know what I mean? You just change your last couple of casts to make sure you're casting something that'll benefit from the spell. So weak aura is pretty buff name. Shit, got in combat again. Ephemeral power is what it's called. Okay. We also got 2 Nightfalls, which is massive. I don't know. Have any of you guys gotten to raid with Nightfall yet? Nightfall is amazing. so sick. I love it so much. We have 2 enhancement shamans, so we had enough mats. Basically, they provided the bars, and then we provided the rest of the mats. So we're gonna have, we didn't have both of them on Thursday, but for this next raid, we're gonna have 2 Nightfalls in the raid. I'm really excited about that. It's massive, man. I was like literally just chunking so, yes, chunking so hard. With that and world buffs, it's insane. 15% bonus damage from that, 10% bonus damage from the Dark Moon Fair buff. And then you get in the ballpark of 15, 18% crit between the other world buffs, depending on what you have. Then you have the other 23 damage from the candies from the Valentine's Day event. You have Arcane Elixir. If you flask, that's kind of why I want to flask on Sunday, because you have so many other world buffs. I really want to see. I'm sure I could actually parse even if without having a good weapon. Music's too intense for me. I think I could even still parse really high with having our little time-worn mace. I think we'd still pull it off. Okay, let's change this weak aura though, because I don't want it in the middle of the screen. Right there. No, because we have the other stuff too. Trinket. Let's put it right here. I need to change it so it shows the duration of the buff. What happened right there? What canceled our shit? Did losing Noggin Fogger cancel it? Is that what did that right there? Oh, dude, it's so annoying. I hate that it constantly just closes the window if you get dipped into combat. But we'll get that set up for Sunday. But I think, yeah, dude, I think if with all the world buffs, I might flask on Sunday and see. And I honestly think for balance, I think I can actually parse really high for BWL, depending on which bosses we kill. Like for Veil and all that. Razor Gore will be interesting. Does Razor Gore parse, like if you kill it, is it off of Razor, like the damage done to Razor Gore, like how Gar is? Is it work that same way? It's gonna pull me in combat again. We'll do it after. I need to figure out how to do, I can't remember. It's been so long since I've made a week or of that, where it shows like the timer. But yeah, guys, we got a number 2 parse last week on Gehennis. Number 2 balanced druid in the world parse. If I was Flask, I would have got number 1 parse in the world. I would have been so hyped. With our shitty little blue weapon. But I think once I get a weapon, I'm gonna and that was without power infusion too, mind you. I didn't get power infusion last raid at all. I think we had 4 or 5 top 10 parses. Oh yeah, baby. Little chicken guy. Here we go. Little chicken guy. You gotta love it when you just click one noggin fogger and you get the little shrink right away. It's a good feeling. All right, let's figure out where the okay, display, it's the time. Percent T. Percent T. Percent T. Let's see what this, oh, I don't have it yet. I think this, with the way this set up, is I'm gonna have, the text is gonna be really small on the side. We'll have to make it bigger and centered. Yeah, see, it's not casting the right buff either. Getting chunked by something. Fuck, he's gonna pull me in combat again. Is it P? Progress text? Yeah, I think so. Don't pull him yet. Now we ready. Here, let's go ahead. Let's pop a little dinky arcane elixir. No DPS. Oh no. You can dance in the meantime. Go? Do we go? No, don't get me. Bah. Oh, nice, dude. Wow. Flask of Supreme Power. Congrats, dude, that's big. A guildie that's run this so many times trying to get that recipe, too. What's up, Sir Smokes a Lot? I dig it, dude. I dig the name. How you doing, buddy? Happy Saturday to all you guys. Hey, thanks for tuning in, coming to hang out with me for a little bit here. All right, we need to move the text. Make it bigger. Let's also... We don't need the little mini seconds. And... yeah, let's do that. Also, do we need, we don't need the glow. It's okay. We can be excited enough without the glow. But yeah, for those of you guys just tuning in, we got a couple big upgrades. We got the Flare Core leggings, which I'm really hyped on. We also got the Orb of Dark Moon, which is basically second best current bis neck outside of the neck piece off of Rag. So that was pretty massive couple upgrades. It's a lot of extra damage. That was stupid of me not to bark skin here, honestly. Oh, we did bark skin. Just kidding. That was so smart of me. Moved the UI around a little bit. We dropped this stuff down a little bit lower so it wasn't so high up on the screen. I actually like it a lot more, a little more visibility. Hope you're having an awesome day, Sir Smokes a Lot. Just getting a couple smokes in, a couple doobies in. What is the buff at on the top right corner? Let me see, because I always forget that one. It's got kind of a, I think it has a weird name if I remember correctly. Let me look. I'll pull up my add-on list here in 1 second and tell you. That's actually, too, that's the default setting, which I think is really cool, because a lot of the add-ons, you can make your UI really clean, but the default doesn't make it look great right away. And this one is an exception. That's not what I wanted. This one, Elkano's Buff Bars, I believe is the add-on. E-L-K-A-N-O, Elkano. some medicated cookies. I feel it. I feel it. It was so funny. So I live in California, so there's dispensaries like all over the place here, and I never do edibles at all. And I got these little edible cookies, and they're tiny. They're like the little Chips Ahoy, like little party pack size, where they're like the size of a quarter, right? The little tiny cookies. And I remember I had 2 of them, and I was like totally fine. And then all of a sudden, it was like I hit a wall, and I just passed out for like 15 hours. Like, caught me off guard. I was like, what? What the fuck? Bouquet? That's kind of interesting. Some Valentine's Day event shit? Huh. That's kind of cool. So you can like always have that. What's the cooldown on that? 5-minute cooldown? That's pretty cool. I didn't realize they had special like dungeon drops for the event. I love when they do stuff like that. I don't like the stupid Santa hat thing from the Christmas one. That's not that exciting to me. But like little offhands with like little use effects and things like that, that stuff's cool. Just a little bit of flavor to the world. Alan, what's up, man? Hey, saw your video on the Boomkin now. Raid lead agreed. And he's taking you to raids. My man. Hey, rep the Boomkin dream, dude. It is up to you. You're now one of the disciples. You have to represent us well out in the world. The underdog, the ultimate underdog of Classic, honestly. I don't know that there's a spec that has a more difficult time competing than Balanstrude, being completely honest, but when you do well, it feels really good. Yeah, Alan, I don't know if you just hopped on right now. I was saying I got some really good parses this week. It's the best I've parsed, I think, ever. I got a number 2 parse on Gehennis. I think it was at like 540 DPS for Gehennis this week. And we still don't even have Aurastone Hammer or a decent weapon for that matter at all in our main hand, and I didn't flask. So I was saying I think we have BWL is on Sunday for us. We're doing it on Sunday this week. We did MC on Thursday, and we got a few pulls of Razor Gore in at the end of our normal raid time. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is we're gonna flask. Me and a couple of buddies also had talked about it in the guild. I think we're gonna hold flasks and flask on Veil and have flasks for the remaining portion of the raid, because Razor Gore is kind of a little unnecessary. And if we end up, since we haven't, it's like all progression, right? Since we haven't done Razor Gore yet, I want to wait and not flask necessarily if it takes us a few attempts, because it kind of takes a little bit of time to reset up and all that stuff. It's hard to keep up, but the class is fun. Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. So now that BWL is out, Balance is in a much better position because we have the Flare Core leggings, right? These leggings that I have. You also have the Dark Moon neck. So you have 2 pieces you can get that are really high up there on our BIS list for the entirety of Classic, completely crafted. So that's huge. Then you also can get the AV offhand, which is like our BIS offhand for basically all of Classic, or a really big chunk of it. So between those couple things, that at least lets you get like a running start, if that makes sense from a gearing perspective, right? Then come phase 4, we get the Bloodvine set, which is huge because we don't have the ability to like use tier gear. Even if tier gear isn't good for some classes, like it's better than our tier gear for us. So Bloodvine's in phase 4. And then BWL has some really, really good upgrades. Like the shoulders are basically our bis. The helm off of Neff is basically our bis. The trinket off Neff is our bis. The mace is basically bis or staff if you're lucky enough to do that. But we end up getting a lot of really, really good gear out of BWL. And we definitely have good gear in Molten Core too, but Molten Core is just harder because there's not that many options. So phase 3 is a big phase for us as far as having competitive gear, and casters start scaling harder come end of phase 3, and then phase 4, phase 5, casters start doing so much damage, right? So our value of balance with the crit buff for fire mages, things like that, we just get more and more valuable, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. What's the best build for leveling as a balanced druid? For leveling, well, okay, so here's some talents that are really important for leveling. Improved Starfire is great because it's a good opener and you can get that stun proc. You always want to take Nature's Grace. And then the other thing is Moon Fury scales off the base damage of your spells. So that's actually really, really good for leveling because you're going to have low spell damage, like bonus spell damage. So this is a really, really good talent because it's basically going to just increase the damage of the baseline abilities of Starfire and Wrath and Moonfire. And Moonfire. You can also grab improved entangling roots to help while leveling so that when stuff kind of gap closes to you, you can just cast that and create distance. I also would take Nature's Reach is a really, really big one. Improved Thorns is not necessary. I'm in like completely full PvE spec right now, where 100% of my talents are just for raid only. I get kind of fucked in PvP with this build because I don't have Nature's Grasp and I don't have improved entangling roots, but this is what I have in the Resto tree, and then we also have improved Thorns. We have a Resto Druid with both of those talents, so you don't need to have those for raid if someone has them. But it honestly helps because both of us having improved Mark of the Wild just helps with the downtime for buffing. Like we can both buff groups and he doesn't have to buff everyone. And then the improved Thorns is just helpful because we can cast that in Moonkin form. So it just overall is good. And then I have improved Wrath, all 5 points in this, and not Nature's Grasp, just because of rating and progression. Once we get to the point where we're clearing stuff, I'll probably tweak that spec a little bit, but that's like your really basic cookie cutter optimal raid spec. But yeah, those few talents for balance, I would say improves Entangling Roots. Nature's Grasp is also good for if you get ganked or anything. But yeah, Moon Fury is really, really good. As you get into later phases, when we have more bonus spell damage, Moon Fury loses some of its value because most of your damage is coming from your bonus spell damage. And like if you start down ranking, for example, to save mana, you gain less value from Moon Fury because you're using a down rank, so you're only getting the bonus. If your base spell damage is whatever, it's 400 damage on down rank Starfire, you're basically only getting like 40 bonus damage from that. So the sooner you get that talent, the more value it has. I'm gonna hold my trinket here for a sec for the boss. Do you think there's room to get Omen of Clarity, natural weapons for Moonkin tanking? When you kind of think of it conceptually, you think that would be a good idea. For me, personally, I don't enjoy the melee weaving type of idea. It doesn't seem very effective at all. And the way that... Hold on, tank. The way that Omen works is it's a stagnant procs per minute. So it doesn't have an internal cooldown, which means you could get 2 procs back to back. but it has an average proc per minute. So if you're using a fast weapon or a slow weapon, it's gonna proc on average the same amount, right? Over if you just were to combine all the different, like over a long period of fights, it's just procking the same amount. So what ends up happening is if you're going to be trying to do melee weaving, the way you really try to optimize it is you do a fast dagger that's ideally lower than faster than the global cooldown, like a 1.4 second weapon, right? And then you basically would want to auto and then moonfire, and then like that's kind of what you can do. To me though, it feels way more clunky doing it that way. That rotation does not feel fun to me. And the procs per minute on Omen of Clarity is really low. So you do higher damage and higher threat per second if you just Wrath spam with improved Wrath. Because you're getting a lot of crits in general because you're just doing fast casts. And then every time you get a crit, it's a 1 second cast, which is faster than the global cooldown bit. Because it's so quick, you generally avoid interruption because it's such a fast cast. And it does more damage than the initial burst of Moonfire, which you can only get off every 1.5 seconds. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of like jumping around a lot, but in my head, that's kind of making sense how I'm trying to explain it. So I don't find the melee weaving thing super effective, and you're not itemizing your gear for strength or agility. So your melee damage is going to be really negligible anyway. And it completely changes your playstyle and kind of what you're focusing on to prioritize something that you're not really spec'd to do well. You're way better off just doing straight damage, like via your spells, in my opinion. So I have Sorcerer's Blade, and I was thinking max Moonfire and then downranking Moonfire. You definitely can. Don't get me wrong. You can 100% do that. Moonfire is very mana inefficient though. So on a longer fight, you're going to run out of mana, and the amount of damage that you're going to do for the entirety of your mana pool is going to be a lot less than if you just Wrath spam. Ideally, you're Starfire spamming, right? But, you know, it depends a lot on the fight and the scenario. In my opinion, the most optimal way to capitalize on Moonkin tanking and your overall damage and stuff like that is doing Wrath spam once mobs are on you. Hey, dude, Burial Shaw. These are rare as shit. I had to do so many runs to get these. It was insane. Someone needed them. Grats to them. It's huge. I literally did like 20 runs to get those shoulders. But yeah, the biggest thing, honestly, Edwin, is that you are gonna... Oh, he pulled before I could even drink or anything. Feels really bad. I'm gonna go ahead and innervate here. Yeah, is that you run out of mana. You just have mana issues when you do that, and it can be a hard way to actually maintain threat because you don't really do increased damage. The only time that kind of makes sense is if maybe you have 2 or 3 mobs on you and you can't effectively get any casts off, but even in that situation, I would say it's probably better to Bark Skin and still hard cast Wrath. But yeah, you lose just a lot of mana efficiency doing that setup. And it's honestly is really difficult in the heat of actually tanking and having mobs beating on you to do like effectively auto and then Moonfire and then auto and like not disrupt each other. It's not really that realistic, I think. IMO. But yeah, it's I know Cargos was going through his kind of theory of what he was thinking would be optimal for Moonkin tanking. I mean, I don't really enjoy that, and it's also contingent on you having the right kind of weapon, which can be hard, right? Just getting a good weapon, period, is kind of tough. It's like Lord of the Rings music. What the hell is that? All right, we're going to farm some demonic runes here in a sec. I'm going to head up to Felwood. But this guy has flasks, so we might buy a flask of Supreme Power real quick for Thursday. I know this is off the screen here a little bit for you guys. We'll see if this guy doesn't want to sell it for kind of a lower price, then I'll spam trade a little bit. We got a solid 24 hours before we need to get one, so not that worried. Huge Venom Sac, does that sell for anything? Cherry Pie. Mitigating Mama with... I'm assuming you mean mitigating mana. Mama with Lie of Lilies 3-set tier 2. Yeah, so 3-set tier 2 could be good. Definitely. I also want to try this. So I haven't Moonkin tanked with this build. This build I have right now is my straight up like PvE build, and I haven't tried Moonkin tanking at all with this. So I do want to try doing that with this setup because this is your raid, quote unquote, raid setup. But I haven't messed with it yet. But I think if you have what's it called, Reflection, this talent? Yeah, Reflection. Then I feel like if you had the 3-piece of the tier 2, it would be really good because those, as far as I understand, stack. I'll eventually get that set up because we only have one Resto Druid, so that might be a really good, I don't know, setup for us as balance on longer fights. I could see that being a thing. Sorry guys, I'm just mailing some of this stuff to the various bank alts to try and clear the bags a little bit. And after using Winterfall water for extra strength and DPS, yeah, I mean, you definitely could kind of play a spec like that. My biggest kind of point of contention with that whole idea is that I just don't think it would be more damage or threat than just straight up casting Wrath. You know what I mean? So you're kind of going for like a more difficult, complicated situation than that isn't going to yield you a higher actual output. If I thought you could actually do it and do more damage that way and have higher threat and be more like optimized, I think it would be worth it. I don't think it actually ends up being better. What was I about to do? Oh, look, let's go with this real quick. Suppose we're undercut the shit out of it just to get rid of it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, you could try it. If you like that playstyle, then I would go for it. There's also ways of doing that, and you go like Hand of Edward the Odd, and you could kind of do some other kind of funky stuff. The main issue I had with trying to do that, and I kind of tried to play with that a little bit. Dude, we have so much. I need to clear my bank out, dude. We are so stacked full of crap. I just wasn't. I tried that a little bit and kind of tried playing with that. I even went like full agility strength gear and used like a melee weapon, and it just didn't seem effective to me. It didn't seem as effective as just casting and rocking like good caster gear. I think when we get to phase 2.5 and we have our tier 2 phase, what is that, 4 or 5, and we have our tier 2.5, it'll be actually really good, because that's all leather gear that has some strength and some agility, and it has a ton of spell damage. Like when you have that set, or if you have full PvP gear, maybe you can make that melee type playstyle work a little more for the tanking stuff. But it's hard because none of the current gear is really itemized that way except for the PvP gear, which the ranking system, because I play on Herod, which is massively populated, that's a really, it's really hard to rank. And I just don't want to spend the time doing that, honestly. I don't enjoy, once Arathi Basin comes out, you guys will see I'll probably try and rank and play a ton of AB, and I'll stream that and make a lot of content on that because I love Arathi. Arathi Basin's my favorite battleground by far. I love that battleground. It's so much fun. There's a lot of really fun like small skirmishes and 1v1s, and it actually is like a battleground that does require a good amount of coordination and skill to really be able to play well, more so than like AV is BS, honestly. Like right now I still enjoy playing Alterac Valley. It's just, it doesn't require any skill to win it. It's just like if you have the strategy of basically just killing the boss and you have like a coordinated group of 5 people and you PvE it, you win. Because it would be 38, 0, 13, just missing out on the 3 natural shapeshifter and getting 2 out of 3. Oh yeah, I feel what you're saying. I mean, honestly, for Moonkin tanking, natural shapeshifter isn't really that good, because you don't really shift a lot, right? You just, ideally, you're just in Moonkin form 100% of the time. You don't shift at all. But yeah, guys, with this setup, like, so right now I have this little arcane elixir on, so that's 20 bonus damage, but we have a good chunk of damage with this gear. I really dig it. Fully buffed, man, we were like at, I think I was at like 415 bonus damage, just like stagnant, which is insane. This feels so good. So it's really hyped on it. Hopefully the prices of flasks go down on our server. If stuff was around like 100, 150 gold a flask, I feel like it would be more realistic. I could see spending 100, 150 gold a raid, but like 200 gold, you're like, Jesus, dude, because then on top of pots and all that other stuff, it's just so brutal. But we'll see. We'll farm up some demonic runes here, kind of kick it, see if there's any PvP. Hang out for a bit. Have you guys done BWL at all yet? Any Moonkins? Any Moonkins done full clear BWL? I'm curious. I looked up a couple of times trying to find balanced druids in BWL, and I did not have any luck finding any content on it yet. This was like as of a day or two ago. What's up, Alexander? How you doing, man? Best Moonkin tank dagger is the one from Mara Princess. Dude, I've tried farming that a little bit more too. I really want that so bad. Someone commented on that video that I had posted a while back, saying that they got it, and they're like, yeah, ask me if you have any questions on it. Supposedly they're saying it's around an 8% proc chance, and then someone else commented and said they were getting procs on insect swarm dot, like the dot tick, which makes me think it would also proc off of Moonfire dot ticks, assuming that what they're saying is true. I have a hard time believing that is absolutely true, because everything I've read said it does not proc off of dot ticks. But since most of the stuff out there as far as classic like trials of it are specifically for mages, which have no damage over time effects, so maybe it does. We'll see. I think eventually I'll get it, honestly, because I enjoy the Mara farm. So I can see myself doing a good amount of Mara farming just for gold and stuff anyway, and I think we'll get it eventually. And then post up some stuff to really test it out for you guys. What's my gear? Yeah, I'll show you my gear. So right now, I generally always have the tier 2 helm on. But we also have the green lens of Arcane Wrath, which I used for a good portion of MC. Like right now when we go do MC, I'll rock that a lot if the fights are shorter and I'm not worried about my mana and survivability. We have Orb of Dark Moon, which is from the Dark Moon Fair. It's actually really reasonable to get for how good it is, in my opinion. This is our BIS currently, with the exception of the neck off of Rag. So if you think you can feasibly get that, go for it. I know that there's a few other people in line in front of me on the neck from Rag, so this is a really worthwhile investment for me. Burial Shawl, which are off Skolo, Saffron Drape. We have Robe of Everlasting Night, which my next soft res in our MC raid is Robes of Volatile Power. So I'm hoping to replace this here pretty soon. Then I'm using the tier bracers right now. I also have Arcane Wrath bracers, but I generally keep the tier ones on just because this is a good slot for some extra, you know, stam and int, stuff like that. Hands of Power, Mana Igniting Cord, and then we just got the Flare Core Leggings, which these are actually massive for BWL progression because they also have a lot of stam and fire resist and a ton of damage. So these are our BIS legs until Bloodvine in the current content. Sky Shroud leggings are also very good, but these are definitely better for progression because the fire resistant stam helps a lot just for your overall survivability. Then I have Dragon Slayer Signet, and then we have Band of Rumination. These are my two favorite DPS rings. I also have the Band of Sulphurous that I just got this week, which is okay, but I don't really like it that much because it's just like raw stats, right? It's not that... It's okay for survivability and like open world stuff. Like I should have it on honestly right now. I'm gonna do the 1 hour buff so I don't have to buff a bunch. But I don't really like it that much. Then we have the Talisman of Ephemeral Power, and then we have Briarwood Reed, which are two really solid ones. And then I have all the Altric Valley offhands. And then our Mace is our most disappointing part of our setup. I have the Time Worn Mace, which the main use for this is the fact that it has armor and stam on it. And I was not getting any luck with the one-hander, so we did put 30 spell power on it. I do have the Witchblade, but I don't want to put a second spell power enchant on a blue. I'm going to wait until I get an epic, because I'll get, even if I got like the Sork Dagger off of Molten Core, that I would be more inclined to, but... Alexander, you haven't had time since release. Yeah, no, I really want to see some BWL stuff from a Moonkin perspective as far as the duration of fights and stuff like that. How much int is Sky Shroud compared? So Sky Shroud legs have 8 int. Not very much. Should we get this guy? This guy might fuck us up with an intercept charge, honestly. Oh, looks like he's prot. This guy's annoying. Like, I'm obviously sitting here drinking with this guy targeted, and you're gonna still run over and try and snack it. Boom, dude! 2K, get out of here. Got him. Thanks for the help, buddy. But yeah, the main thing is obviously like these legs don't have any int on them, the flare core, but they have fire resistance, which is important. There we go, dude. First rune, that was quick, was like 4th kill. But they have the 16 fire resist, which is massive for just BWL in general. And a lot of this gear you can see lacks stamina, right? Like Hands of Power have none, Water Sprout Boots have none, Burial Shawl has none. So having one piece with 21 stam on it and the fire resist and such high base damage is a really good kind of addition to the other gear that has no stamina on it. That's our other like BIS stuff, right? So it's actually really, really ideal. Why is there so many fucking people farming this right now, dude? Trying to think of what's going to be our best bet for getting some tags. Probably hang out over here. Try and just get this little hallway corridor here. Have you thought about Wrath spamming in BWL on the second boss? I feel like it's better with a high DPS and you crit with Wrath. So here's my thoughts on Wrath spam is I don't think it's higher DPS as you get better gear. It might be better with worse gear, but Starfire scales with 100% of your bonus damage and Wrath does not because of the cast time. Also, if you have improved Wrath, it's even shorter because of every crit you get is a 1 second cast, which is actually faster than the global cooldown. So you don't actually even effectively get to utilize that bonus damage you should be getting, if that makes sense, because your cast time is 1 second, but you still have to wait 1.5 seconds till you can start casting your second Wrath. And it doesn't scale as much. So if you have lower base damage, or sorry, lower like bonus spell damage, Wrath on average is going to do less because it scales less. So for example, if you have a flask on, Starfire is going to yield you more actual bonus damage than Wrath spamming will. Mainly because of that clipping. So no matter what, the most you can get is a Wrath every 1.5 seconds. You'll cast it quicker than that, but you still have to end up waiting that 1/2 second gap time, right? We do well against some mobs that have low resistance if you're playing Alley because no one else can really do nature damage. Yeah, so like a good example is Chromagus. Chromagus is going to be massive for us because we have both nature and arcane damage. So I can see Moonkins in general parsing really well because like Fire Mage or Frost Mage, for example, they can use the other like spell school, but they're not spec'd into it, right? And for us, we spec into both simultaneously. So we can actually DPS both of those phases. So I could see Chromagus being actually a really good fight for balanced runes. I haven't done it yet, so I don't know that for sure, but I just thinking conceptually, I feel like we'll have a pretty easy time with it. What about Moonfire spam? So Moonfire is the same thing. So Moonfire, because it's an instant cast, has a low bonus damage scaling. So think of it this way, like every ability in the game scales different percentages with your bonus spell damage. So early on, or assume you have 0 spell damage, you're leveling, right? Any ability that has a high baseline damage is going to be really valuable, right? So if like it's going to do an average of whatever 30 damage per mana spent, baseline if you had 0 spell damage, those spells generally also, if they're instant cast or fast casts, have a low scaling to your bonus ability power or whatever spell damage. So as you get better and better gear, they become less and less efficient and less and less viable as like a priority. Yeah, see gear? I just went through it, but yeah, I'll hover over it all again. We got tier 1 helm, tier 1 bracers, Dark Moon neck, burial shawl, cloak off of Ani, robes of everlasting night off of this is off Dire Maul West, hands of power, mana igniting cord, flare core leggings, water sprout boots, dragon slayer, rumination band, and then we got the 2 trinkets, and then the AV offhand and the shitty time worn mace. But so as you get better and better gear, you're gonna want to use Starfire because it scales 100% with the bonus damage. So it's kind of like, it's hard to illustrate. Like all this stuff makes sense in my head, but it's very like mathy. Mathy. But think of it like, so for you guys, it would be this way. You have a graph that's like this, right? And it's going up left to right. The more bonus spell damage you have, right? This is what this line represents. Then you have certain abilities that basically scale this way with how much they scale off of that bonus damage. And you hit breaking points where at a certain amount of bonus damage, The bonus damage overrides the value of the baseline spell damage. So later on, Starfire just becomes very, very good because it scales 100% with our bonus spell damage. So that's why things like Talisman, or even us as Balanced Druid flasking, we gain 100% damage bonus from those additives onto our thing. So we scale really hard with consumables, which is really cool because that means you can basically stack consumables and just hit like a truck, and you're relatively mana efficient. I mean, not super mana efficient, but you know, mana efficient-ish. That's too intense of a song for me. Oh no, buddy. I saw you. I saw you. Yeah, I was getting 800 plus damage with trash. That had low nature resist, got 1200 plus. Yeah. You can, dude, you can, don't get me wrong. Wrath can definitely hit hard, but it's not more mana efficient as you get better and better gear. For example, I was getting like 13, 14, 1500 Wrath crits because a lot of times I'll open with Wrath, right? Wrath's actually a really good opener for us because the travel time allows us to basically have damage like front loaded on a fight and not worry about pulling thread. Exactly like I do here. It's traveling through the air. You also, it allows you to have a chance of getting a Nature's Grace proc on the very beginning of the fight. So it like lets you front load a lot of your burst. Wrath is good. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But if you're just sitting there and you have a long simulation, Starfire is your most efficient damage output. But I use Wrath a lot in raids because it's a very good cast to initiate any pull with. And if something is not going to survive long enough for you to get a full Starfire cast off, it doesn't matter how much damage it does or not. Oh, dude, this guy is going for our mob. Bitch, get out of here. But yeah, like as we get better and better gear, it's all about the timing and like what you can fit in too. Like if it's a relatively high mobility fight, like you're gonna have to use Wrath some instead of Starfire. But Starfire is just more efficient and you can get bigger crits, and it fits into our timing window perfectly because like the trinket's a 15-second buff, right? And so is Power Infusion. Assume that they're the same, like that you are able to stack them both really easily. If you get 0 crits, you can guarantee 5 Starfires off of that, right? Assuming timing is perfect. More than likely, once you get good gear, you're gonna at least get a crit or 2, which means you definitely can ensure getting 5 Starfires, and you can also get a Moonfire off of that last cast. Also still maintaining the bonus damage. So follow me here. You open up with Wrath into a Moonfire on the target, then you pop your trinket, then you cast 5 Starfires, and then you finish with 1 Moonfire because you can't necessarily get a 6th Starfire in unless every single one of those crits. And that's basically what I was doing in raid to parse so high this week. That seems to be the most optimal way of DPSing, assuming that you don't have to move during the uptime of your trinket. So Wrath, Moonfire, 5 Starfires, and then you finish that with another Moonfire to clip the bonus damage of the trinket for that last Moonfire proc duration. That's your highest like window of kind of like burst or like overall DPS. Oni Cloak versus Archivist's Arcane. Archivist's Arcane. What's Archivist's Arcane? Is that like another cloak? Oh, is that the one off of Oni? I mean, sorry, off of BWL? No, that's Cloak of the Broodlord. I don't know what Archivist's Arcane is, Joe, if you want to elaborate. I feel as if Moonfire would proc Nature's Grace because it's a higher crit chance and you already have a 10% crit bonus. That is true. Yeah, Edwin, for sure. So this is your opener. This is what's like really strong. What, Alexander? I'm the only one that feels that ZG sucks for Moonkin gearing. Yes, ZG is amazing for Moonkin gearing, my friend. Very, very, very good for us because it gives us a few options of gear with hit on it. And it gives us Bloodvine set. All of that stuff basically is your BIS until the entire rest of the game. Oh, the 21 of Arcane Wrath affix you're saying if you get? Yeah, so I prefer Saffron Drape for a couple reasons. One, it's epic, right? So rather than having the stupid blue text, you got that purple text, right? There's some value in that. The other thing is it's damage to both spell schools, so when you do use Wrath, which you inevitably are going to use sometimes in content, you actually gain value from it, and it has way more stats. The 10 stam and the 17 int are valuable. We basically scale with every 5 intellect is 0.1% chance to crit, so you should read 15 intellect as a 0.3% chance to crit. Which if it read that on the gear, people would actively think differently about how the gear actually like values, because you don't see your like intellect, oh, it increases my mana, but every 5 int is basically 0.1% chance to crit. So if something's got 20 int on it, it's a 0.4% increased crit chance on your spells. Not to mention, you don't want to be just completely glass cannon where you get hit by one inevitable mechanic and you can't survive it. Like, there is value in stamina, there is value in intellect. You want to have a little bit of thickness to you. You don't want to just be so glass cannony that you can't deal. But yeah, ZG is amazing for us itemization wise. The main thing that really hurts us for consistent raid DPS is the lack of hit that we have, since we don't have any talents that base on like any hit talents, and like warlocks don't either, but warlocks can life tap, so they kind of have endless mana to some extent, assuming they bandage or whatever. So you want to really make sure that if you don't have the ability to just regen the way warlocks do, that we can ensure our damage is actually good, like consistent. And so that bonus hit gear is really, really valuable for that, because it allows you to kind of actually know what you're going to be able to do. Not to mention getting close to hit cap, or every point of crit that you get gets more and more valuable based on the other consumables that you have access to. I'm gonna read this guy real quick. God damn it, dude, this guy cursed me too. But yeah, the opener, so like the bonus arcane damage stuff is obviously very good, and if you're just only Starfire spamming, it will yield more DPS. Just in like a simulation, right? But there, you have to also just factor in that there is some amount of raid damage going out. There's some situations where Wrath is actually the most optimal cast, given either, you know, using it in your opener, using it on Shaz, for example, because Shaz has a really high arcane resistance, things like that. So obviously you don't have that flexibility if you're using just of Arcane Wrath gear. The main thing that really bugged me about all the Arcane Wrath stuff is having no stats. Like having like 3,800 health and 4,000 mana feels really shitty to me. So for that reason, and not to mention, like, there's going to be times too where you need to like help off heal, or you need to heal yourself, or you're casting Hibernate, or you know what I mean, like you're casting Fairy Fire. All of those instances, every single thing that you have that's of Arcane Wrath, you're gaining 0 value, right? So you want to think about that. Obviously that's not your priority necessarily in a raid situation, but there is some kind of value to that. Like if you're the one responsible for fairy firing all the time, like spell hit is going to be a little more important for you, or you're going to get more value of it, for example, because if you miss your first 3 fairy fires in a row because they don't land, that's 4.5 seconds of DPS downtime that you did not get. There's a Mountain Silver. So Mountain Silver Sage has gone up in price so crazy on my server. I don't know about you guys. It's literally 2 gold a pop. I sold stacks of it for 40 fucking gold, dude, for 1 stack of 20 of these. It's absolutely insane. But that's why, like, I've been stocking up mats and I haven't sold anything because I know they're going to keep going up, but I don't want to have to buy them. I want to just have my own stuff, just be self-sufficient. I was thinking of crit stacking for trash. With the current gear and Moonkin aura, it'd be like 20% crit. Yeah, so crit, I want to make a video on this stuff at some point because it's really interesting and it's really useful to understand, but it's very hard to like articulate well. But the more consumables you're using, the more valuable crit is. So the higher you can get your bonus spell damage, the more valuable you gain, the more value you gain from crit for a couple reasons. One, because you're getting more casts off from Nature Grace procs, which makes Starfire more and more optimal, because if you were able to consistently reduce the cast time of Starfire by half a second, the overall damage output is massively higher. Not to mention Starfire is gaining 100% bonus damage, and every crit you're gaining is 200% of your bonus damage, right? So all of those things make crit more and more valuable. It becomes more and more valuable the more and more spell damage that you have. So for example, if you flask, damn it, I missed that one. If you flask, crit is very, very, very valuable to you. Which in that exact situation, you would want to be valuing like intellect, crit chance, things like that over the other. If you're gaining 150 bonus spell damage because of your consumables, like crit becomes significantly higher as far as your actual damage output. But it's been fun, man. I will say for sure, after getting, so I got this trinket, and then we got Mana Igniting Cord last week, both of those pieces. Then I got the Dark Moon Fair came out. I got this neck piece. And then I also got these Flare Core leggings crafted. Those changes to my gear are so noticeable. It's insane. So noticeable. Like the way Raid felt. Obviously, I had a lot of consumables as well. So it's not like it's 100% just my damage. But even in 5-man content, even in this farm stuff, like the fact that I pop trinket, I have no buffs on besides Mark and stuff, and my Starfires are hitting for over a K is massive. So like, as we're able to get better and better gear and we get up into that 450, 500 bonus spell damage range, because Starfire is so crucial to our DPS, and we're the only caster with a baseline 3-second cast DPS ability that scales that hard, I feel like we're gonna actually do really well. I feel like I'm going to do better than people are anticipating come phase 5, 6, things like that. I'm not saying we're going to be the top DPS, but I don't think we're going to be as shitty as people think. Especially because even, like, dude, 2K Starfire, like, that's massive. Like, it's so much damage. 1130 damage Wrath. Like, it's insane. Like, once we get more and more gear, it's going to be absurd. You got tier 1 or tier 2 helm. I have tier 1 helm. So the tier 2 helm is also, you could use it if you have no other option, but it's just bonus healing. But it does have MP5, and it has a little more int on it and stuff, so you could use it more from like a longevity perspective if you're having a hard time with mana. But honestly, I prefer the tier 1 helm and bracers. I use those almost 100% of the time. Those are really the only pieces that are good for our tier 1, because the tier 1 belt is really low on damage, so I would either use Banthok Sash or I'd use Mana Igniting Cord is preferable over that. But the bracers are decent until there's the bracers that drop out of BWL that have hit on them. This guy better not try and... But yeah, for the helm, like, I have the Arcane Wrath Engineering helm, which I'll use sometimes, but again, I really value having not all your items having base stats, but I really didn't like I have a full set of like the Arcane Wrath. Like, I have a chest piece with 40 Arcane Wrath, you know, arcane damage on it. I have my engineering helm. I have bracers with 21 arcane wrath. I have a back piece with 20, I think it's 20 or 21 arcane wrath. Like, I have those pieces in my bank, and I don't use them because I just don't like I don't like that playstyle and that feel really. You have no stats. You go out of mana after like 5 casts. Like, it doesn't feel good to me. I don't really enjoy it. I'd rather use like better gear with more stats and like farm gold for a flask. You know what I mean? Your main tank got Thunder Fury. So excited to see how Wrath will hit. Dude, that's actually a good point. That's actually a good point. The other thing too is our shamans. We have 2 shamans that currently Storm Strike, which I don't know exactly how that interacts with debuff slots, if that kind of screws up some other stuff. But there could be some value in that. With that debuff from Thunder Fury as well as Storm Strike, in those situations, obviously if you're utilizing something like Storm Strike, Wrath is going to be more damage, right? Like, it's a 20% buff. Starfire is not 20% better than Wrath, but it just scales higher with more stuff. But Wrath also still scales. So if you're getting some kind of modifier like that, Wrath might be beneficial. Oh, here's another thing that's actually really interesting. So it's not exact, but it's really close. If you assume the actual output at around 300, 350 bonus spell damage, Starfire and Wrath are very, very, very close. As far as mana efficiency, damage output, like you'll do 100,000 damage and it'll cost this much mana. They're very, very close. For the sake of this argument, let's say that they're identical. And basically what you're changing between the two is you're doing twice as many casts, twice as fast, right? So you're increasing the quantity of casts, but your actual damage is basically identical. Something like the dagger off of Mara has a proc that seems to be not a proc per minute, but a proc chance. Okay? So follow me. If it has just a baseline 10% chance to proc, Wrath spam will actually pull ahead as far as efficiency because you're going to be proccing twice as many of the mana procs on that dagger. Not to mention you also gain a bonus 100 damage. So I think in a lot of situations, you actually will want to Wrath spam. Alexander, that's for you right there. I think if you get the dagger off of Mara, I think Wrath spam will actually pull ahead. That's the only situation where I think that's the case, because you're increasing the quantity of casts, and as far as I've been able to tell off of the stuff I've seen, what I've heard, what I've talked to people about, it looks like it's just a stagnant proc chance. So it's not proc per minute, right? Proc per minute would mean, say it averages 1 proc per minute, you get 2 casts in a row, like 2 procs in a row, you basically aren't going to get one for 2 minutes because you basically used up both procs. So it'll average out. I don't think the Mara dagger has a proc per minute. I think it's a straight up proc chance. Kind of like Hand of Justice, things like that. Similar situation. Where you're not like penalized if you get 2 procs back to back for the next minute and a half. So I do think, legitimately I do think that will be a real thing. If I can get that dagger, I could see Wrath spamming being actually very, very efficient in comparison, because if every 10 casts, you're getting 100 mana back. Oof. I think Wrath is really low mana cost too. 164. Not to mention, you could also end up, if you had a situation where you're getting low on mana, you could also down rank, like rank 1 Wrath, and bait out procs on that thing too. There's so many like weird situations. What's up, Cargos? How you doing, buddy? We cleared, no, we did not clear. So BWL for us is tomorrow. We did Molten Core Thursday, and then we went into BWL, and we did a few pulls on Razor Gore. But we didn't have 40 people. We had 38 people. Feels bad. And I don't know. We'll see. Razor Gore I think is going to be a really tough one for us. I think the rest of the fights are actually going to be pretty easy. But we'll see. We have a couple people in the raid that are fresh. I actually was doing really good damage comparatively to the rest of our raid on Razor Gore. Like the, not trash, what do you call it? The gauntlet part. I was actually doing pretty well. My mana efficiency was actually really decent. So I'm real curious. I tried looking up a couple different times Moonkins in BWL to see if there's any content out there to see how people are doing. But I wasn't able to find anything. So we'll see. I think we'll get, I don't know if we'll get a full clear on Sunday. I think we can feasibly get through up to Chromagus pretty easily. But I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to say, man, because we're pretty casual, our guild is. So people don't flask or anything like that. And some people get world buffs, but god damn it, dude, he tagged that. Yeah, so we don't flask or anything, so it's some of that stuff is a little more difficult for us than it is on like all the YouTube videos and stuff like that that people have out there, like where they're full guild, full world buffs, full flasks, kill it in 45 minutes. Everyone knows all the fights. We're definitely a little more on the struggle bus than that category. But dude, it was really fun, honestly. Like we wiped, I think we wiped like 4 or 5 times, 3 or 4 times, something like that. We only had like half an hour or so after Molten Core. But straight up, BWL was the most fun I've had raiding in a while. The stuff is, dude, like wiping doesn't really bug me that much as long as you're not wiping for really stupid issues, like people just blatantly not paying attention. But wiping because it's new content, you're trying to like figure out strats and things like that, doesn't bug me at all. So I'm really excited. I'm really hyped for going. We're gonna go into it Sunday. So the other thing too, since we did MC first, we had 0 world buffs on anyone going into BWL because everything had ran out. Right, we cleared Molten Core in like an hour and 45 minutes, and then everything ran out. And so we went into BWL and we had some consumable stuff, but not flasks and not world buffs. So I think with our whole raid, or a big chunk of our DPS coming in to Razor Gore with full buffs, and we have Razor Gore Veil Straws, I think we'll one-shot Razor Gore, and I think we'll have an easy time on Veil. And then the rest of the bosses I'm actually not that worried about. It should be pretty chill. Friend with the Blade saying Moonfire rank 10 first, and then rank 1 spam with melee hit, and basically the mana cost net 0. Edwin, that makes sense. I don't doubt that. That's why I want to get the dagger. Do I need water over here? That's why I want to get the dagger, because I think there's going to be a lot of use cases where you can do stuff like that, even if you rank 1 Wrath and things like that, where you still are gaining a big benefit from your bonus damage. Rank 1 Moonfire is good, but you don't gain like anything from bonus damage really, right? What? What? Oh, dude, I'm attacking. Dude, no way. That was great. We moonfired and rooted the undead priest next to us. I've never seen that. That's so fucking funny. What's up, Cookie Monster? How you doing, bud? My week has been good, dude. My week was actually really brutal. But it was good. It was a good brutal. It was just busy with work. That's awesome. Great attitude towards it. Yeah, I mean, Cargos, I'm really hyped for BWL. Do you guys get a full clear? I know you were, I know you said you were running with a new guild on your Warlock or whatever. Did you end up killing Neff? What's the add-on that shows rotation? Does it work with melee? And would it be dope? Yeah, dude. So this is called Trophy. I actually used this when I started doing videos on BFA stuff. Because people have a hard time figuring out what casts you're casting. And so I figured it actually answered a lot of questions. Let me find it. This one. Trophy GCD. TRUFI. It shows, I mean, it doesn't show like auto attacks, but it shows every global cooldown. So you'll see like it shows my trinket proc. It'll show like if you use potions, it'll it'll do everything besides like your auto attacks. It won't show it. But like if I was playing a hunter, like aim shot pops up, you know, multi-shot, hunter's marks, or like it'll proc every single global cooldown of something that you're pressing. For like your rogue, it'd be sinister strike, all that stuff shows up. Yeah, it's a great add-on. It's really good because a lot of people, especially if you're doing combining global cooldowns on certain stuff, like you do like Starfire into Moonfire, and like you can't really tell from the animation because like they both kind of look the same. Things like that, it helps a lot with answering questions or people being able to watch like highlight clips and know exactly what you're doing. Yeah, man, it's a cool add-on. It's also really helpful for this dude. This is actually good for the Iron Man stuff too. You can go back and you can see exactly what you casted in what order. And the other thing that's really sick about it is it will show you if, so like watch here, if I wait more than a global cooldown, there's a gap, right? Every time if I wait, you can see, so you can see like, oh, I could have done better there. Like I could have like combined my spell cast more and actually had like a higher output of like cast per minute. Like it allows you, it gives you a lot of information if you're trying to go back and watch any of your own stuff to like improve, or for people to be able to visually see that without you having to explain it. It's a great add-on. It's definitely one of my favorite add-ons. As soon as I started using it, it feels weird not having it because you can't ever reference if something got wrong. It'll also put a big X through a cast so you can see if you cancel the cast accidentally, things like that. It's really helpful. Don't worry, my guild went with full world buffs and wipe before even getting the MC on Razor. No way, dude. So your full guild goes in, full world buffs and consumables, and you die right away in the first pull? Holy shit, dude. I would be so mad. We had like a partial wipe one time in MC very early when everyone, like not everyone, but a lot of people had world buffs. And it felt fucking terrible. It felt so bad. What add-on do you use to show your trinket uptime? What do you mean trinket uptime? You're saying like this proc I have right here in the bottom corner, is that what you mean by uptime? This down here is called trinket menu, which allows me to swap through my trinkets. I'm bad and don't have my PvP trinket on me right now or any of my engineering ones. That's trinket menu. And then this right here is a weak aura that I created to be able to easily track how much time is left on my trinket buff. That way I can, you know, I was going to change something on that too. Weak auras, if you guys don't use weak auras, I really recommend trying to familiarize yourself a little bit with it because it's a really powerful add-on. You can usually also set the anchor. Where is it? Anchor. Yeah, here it is. Anchor center. That looked like that's gonna show up kind of funky, but it should work. It can show enemy party arena abilities as well. Yeah, so the Trophy add-on. Yeah, it can show a lot of different casts. It gets a little overwhelming. But the default, it'll have it in the center of your screen and it'll show everyone's global cooldowns, like what they're doing. So it could be good. Obviously, Arena's not relevant for Classic, but you could, if you're trying to watch like your other party members cast, or maybe you're trying to watch like a priest or something, I think you could set it up for that to see like if they're going to cast Power Infusion maybe. Is one situation I could see it being useful. Okay, so we got to move this because it's offset a little weird. But the main thing I wanted this is so that you can see, so as soon as it's less than 3 seconds, I know like if I'm in the middle of a Starfire cast and it gets to 3 seconds, I don't start channeling another Starfire cast, so I don't waste the last 2 seconds of the buff. So I either like can Wrath or Moonfire off that. I don't like this color though. Let's have it, I'm gonna have it just above in red. And then you can also, this is also really helpful. How do we do this? You can trigger it. I should do an animation. You can make it where it like glows once it's like less than 6 seconds or 3 seconds. What UI am I using? This is just a UI I made. I'm not using any specific UI. I have my health bar here in the middle is shadowed unit frames, SUF, shadowed unit frames. And then I have bartender, which has all my bars, but I have it all the alpha to 0, so all of them are hidden, so you can't see them all, but that's how I keybind stuff. And then I have like all my potions, different consumables and things I use on these little bars here, just so they're kind of clean and out of the way. And then all my cooldowns here are via weak auras. So like I know the keybind in my head, but these will show all the, so like if I bark skin, for example, it goes gray and then has the cooldown timer on it. And then I just know what the keybinds are by memory. And then this is just my forms down here at the bottom, which honestly, I don't really even need this, but I keep it up just to make sure, like, for example, if you're in, like you're using Noggin Fogger Elixir or whatever, and you're in Moonkin form, you can't visually tell that easily. So rather than like looking up at the buff bar. And then this is trinket menu down here, centered in the bottom. But I like this setup. It's like pretty clean. I feel like I'm minimalistic. So it just allows me to just focus on like the fight and whatever. I don't use any boss mods, which is probably bad of me, but I literally, the entirety of playing WoW in general, I have not used like big wigs or DBM, things like that. I just don't like, it's too, I don't know. I just don't like it. I feel like it eliminates the actual attentiveness you have to have on these fights. If you have something just yell like, oh, move, get out of here. It's like, oh, I didn't even have to look for the mechanic. I didn't even have to watch the animation happen. I didn't have to actually pay attention. See, so that was a good example right there. Like with that trinket, I knew I could squeeze in a Wrath and one more downranked Moonfire to like squeeze in as much damage as I could with the uptime of that bonus damage from the trinket, which is exactly like what the goal was of that. I want to move this offset down a little bit though. I feel like there's a, I really want it to glow when it's less than 3 seconds, right? Because that's my cutoff for Starfire. Then I wouldn't have to pay as much attention to it. But yeah, I might export the weak auras. And there's a way I can set it up where you guys would have access to it. I just haven't done that. There's like that Wage.io or WeGo or some website where I can like post up the weak auras and you guys can just copy paste it, and then like you would have the same bars show up with the same triggers and conditions, and then you could change it. You could scale it bigger. You can move them all over the place and kind of use the template that I already put together. I don't know how to, I haven't done that before, so I'm not sure exactly what it entails to get it set up. Boss mods are, for me, too much information at once. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly why I don't use them. And I mean, the thing is, dude, like Classic, for example, if you have the raid party frames up where you can see the debuffs that are on people, you can do all of the mechanics without having boss mods. Like, you can see any debuff that's going out. You can see your own debuffs. Like, it's the boss mods don't particularly do anything that you can't get just in the basic UI, and it just is not like a bunch of extra stuff that's just getting shouted at you. The main thing for me, honestly, is it's like it takes away, when you don't have boss mods, you're actually paying attention to like the boss's casts or the boss's animations or the boss's positioning. Like, you're really attentive to that stuff because that's your indicator for knowing those things are about to happen. And if you have the boss mods, it doesn't require you to really do that as much. So for me, I personally enjoy raiding a lot more when you're just like, it's more immersive, kind of like you're just more actually paying attention to the actual fight than like your add-ons triggering or a sound effect going off and your, you know, with your UI and all kinds of stuff like that. But it's all preference. There's nothing wrong with boss mods. I just don't enjoy them. You like sound cues? Yeah, the sound cues can definitely be helpful. But I try to, like, I have a bunch of add-ons like on that add-on list, but the majority of them that I have are just to do what I can to make stuff really clean and minimalistic. It's like, I like really kind of paying attention to what's happening in the encounters more so than having the add-ons like trigger something and like that being a really obvious indicator. But it's all preference. No right or wrong. Yeah, but dude, I really want that dagger off Mara. I feel like that thing is going to be so huge. I feel like there's going to be a way to use that dagger and it be really overpowered for balance. And I think it's going to be via the Wrath situation that I'm saying, where you're increasing your quantity of casts. Think about it. If you had that and say that was optimal, you could not even put points into improved Starfire. So you would save 5 talent points. I don't know if you could put them into anything else that would be more helpful, but you could do it. Ah, dude. Curse of Tongues. But there's a few ways where that kind of would become, it would change a lot as far as just the overall kind of gameplay. You'd have a lot more flexibility too with that. We'll see. We'll get it. We'll get it sometime here soon. I have faith. I have faith. Am I using Feral Charge spec? No, I am not, Alan. I am using the normal, boring PvE spec because we're on progression and I have to have the reflection talents for mana regen. I do use so Cookie Monster, I use the Feral Charge spec, but it's like a spec that I kind of made up. So it's, you get Moonkin form, and then you also get Feral Charge, and then you get 5 points in Fur in the Resto tree. You can definitely still run 5-mans, no problem. It's not very good for progression rating though, because you lose a lot of mana regeneration. So for the longer fights, you feel it. But it's overall DPS wise, it's the same. It won't change anything damage wise, but it's way better for PvP. Way better for PvP. I've gotten a couple times where I've had these kind of one-on-one situations without it, and it feels really shitty. You don't have Fur, you don't have improved Bash, you don't have Feral Charge. So like all these things that you have that are really helpful for certain matchups, you don't have. But this is a more optimal PvE build. I can show you guys what my talent setup. I have 13 points in Resto, right? Because Insect Swarm has a shorter range and you can't do it in Moonkin form. This also, if you have improved Healing Touch, allows you to off heal, or even go for like full heals and just throw on healing gear. And it's not like you can basically have the same heal output as basically any of the Resto Druids, very, very close too. And then very cookie cutter setup. We have improved Thorns, improved Mark of the Wild, so we can help buff if our Resto Druid's drinking or whatever. Pretty straightforward though. Nothing too exciting or weird. I think it's like the optimal raid build. Which once we get everything on farm, I'll feel a little bit different. When are we doing BWL? BWL is tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific. 5:30 Pacific Standard Time is our raid time. So yeah, we'll be doing BWL tomorrow. I think I'm gonna bring a flask with me and we'll see. We're gonna get full world buffs, which is what I'm gonna work on probably tomorrow, early part of the day. So you guys can see the DPS numbers fully buffed on progression. I'm hesitant to stream progression content because I don't want to distract myself with also having to pay attention to chat, right? Because I don't want to neglect chat on progression. So I'm a little hesitant to stream it, but I think I will try it. I think I'll stream in that way. I feel like there's not really anything out there as far as the Moonkin point of view on the new content. And I know if I'm looking for it, there has to be some amount of other people looking for it. So I think I'll try and stream it on Sunday and see how it goes. So I changed this. Okay, let's see if this works. Nice. Okay, so I was having an issue. I need to change the alpha on this though. You can see this is like getting a little bit darker or lighter depending on if I'm in range or not. Because since I have all my bars hidden, you can't see if anything's out of range. Hey dude, 2 in a row, let's go. Oh, we don't have enough time. We didn't have enough time for that one. Shadowed unit frame. Okay, so I want to change the alpha on this range indicator a little bit more so it's more drastic. But yeah, I mentioned this earlier. We got a number 2 parse this week in Molten Core. This is my highlight of my Boomkin PvE career right now, is the number 2 parse. Range indicator. Out of range alpha, let's do 45%. Let's see if that's too much. But yeah, Gehennis, we pulled like 540 DPS, I think, which is pretty fucking nuts for a druid. For a balanced druid, I was very hyped. This was also, mind you, without power infusion and with no flask. How much extra mana can you get with full world buffs, consumables, distilled wisdom? So for balance, I think the Flask of Supreme Power is significantly better because the increased mana from distilled wisdom only is going to benefit you for that use of that initial amount of mana. And I don't think you have any fights lasting so long that you can't keep your mana up using pots, runes, and innervate. So I would not use Flask of Distilled Wisdom. Right now, you get AI, which is 31 int. You get Mark of the Wild, which is, how much is Mark of the Wild? 16 int. I don't know what that equates to exactly. I got to just over 6,000 mana this last week in current gear. The other buff that's really big is I made a video, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, on the Valentine's Day event. You can do Undercity. I'm not sure which zone it is or which city it is for Alliance. And Undercity gives you 30 bonus intellect that does stack with Arcane Intellect. So that's another 450 mana. Not to mention the crit that you get from that as well, which if it's 30 is point, what is that? I have to do the math. I think that, what does that equate to? Is that like 0.6% crit chance, spell crit chance, something like that? Not to mention just the increased mana pool. I really hope I don't get jumped out here because I don't have my PvP trinket or PvP gear on. I'm gonna integrate myself here. Just because it's fucking no mana. Boomy Power. My man, Boomy Power for sure. That chicken love. Does that mean that you're second best damage on that boss as Moonkin? Yes, in the world. That's what that means, Stumpy. There's one druid that did more damage than me on Gehennis. I almost had him. If I had Flask and a weapon, I would have been #1 parse. We actually got a bunch. I got a bunch of good parses this week. I can pull. If you guys are interested, I can show you the parses and how that works to be able to compare your DPS. I don't know. I don't want to pull that up if people aren't interested in it though. I'm not trying to like brag. It's just, it's exciting when you're like playing the underdog and you're like trying to compete on damage with not optimal gear. It's really sick when you have a good fight. Does Valentine's stack with Blasted Lands? So I have heard Valentine's buff does not stack with Blasted Lands. I didn't test that, but there's a guy named Rivzy. I don't know if it's a guy. It could be a girl. There's a druid named Rivzy that is very, very, very good at balance. And Rivzy commented on the video and said it does not stack with Blasted Land buffs. Again, I didn't try it, so I don't like this song. I didn't try it, so I'm not sure. But that's what he had said. Yo, any tips for gold making? I just hit 60 yesterday and I'm trying to get my mount. So yeah, man, there's a ton of good ways to make gold. For druids especially. Mara is a really good one, which I actually made a video on the Mara farm, which is recent. So you can check that out if you're interested in doing like a dungeon type farm where you don't have to deal with people tagging your mobs and stuff. Another good one is elemental fire farming in Arathi Highlands. That is a really good source of gold if you can find a time when there's not other people out there contesting it. There's also the earth elementals in Arathi Highlands too. That's another good option right now because the price of that stuff has gone up a lot because of sharpening stones and restorative potions, all kinds of stuff like that. So those are all good. Trying to think of any other ones. There's a trick that I do for my personal gold farming. That's a little more complicated, but it's a really good way to make some gold. It's a little more time intensive kind of, but it ends up being really high gold per hour if you have buyers. What class did you get to 60? Oh, I'm assuming Alan is a druid. Go out on a limb there. It doesn't. You tried it. Yeah, so Stumpy, you tried it. Okay, so the Valentine's Day buff does not stack with Blasted Lands buff. Yeah, that's what I had heard too. I haven't tried it. I never used the Blasted Lands buffs. But yeah, that's what I had heard as well. Let me grab some water. And I can tell you, Alan, I'll give you the top secret gold farm. I haven't made a video on it because I don't want people to start doing it because I don't want to lose out on mine. But I'll tell you in 1 second. Fish for squid at noon. That's another good farm. Fishing is actually is becoming pretty popular. Herbalism is also a really good moneymaker because so many people are just trying to get a shitload of consumables right now. But I'll tell you, I mentioned this once in a previous stream, so sorry if this is repeat content for some of you guys. But here, let's sit down. My number one source of gold. What's up, guys? I'm down here. My number one source of gold, as far as what I've been doing to gold farm, is making the arcanums. So this enchant that's on my legs, this 8 bonus damage and healing, is the best damaging enchant right now. Jesus, dude, we get 3 crits in a row right there. Holy shit, dude. 888 DPS. Holy fuck. Those enchants require, I think almost all of them require something that is bind on pickup. So you can't sell the item and like trade the item to someone, but you can enchant their gear if they put it in the do not trade window, just how normal enchanting works in WoW, right? So what you can do is basically pick one of those markets, figure out what the costs are on those on your server, and then farm up whatever those bind on pickup materials are, because a lot of people either don't have them, they're impatient, they want that enchant right away, they don't want to spend the time and go farm them, and it can be a really effective gold farm. So for me, I only deal with the Arcanum of Focus, which is this damage and healing enchant. We got to show off our fancy new legs, okay? It's a 2-for-1 right here. Flare Core leggings with the damage enchant. We got the big 51 bonus spell damage on our legs. Feels real good. But that enchant specifically is 2 Skin of Shadows, which are a bind on pickup drop out of Skullomance, as well as a pristine black diamond, 4 large brilliant shards, and 1 Libram of Focus. Now you can only carry 1 Libram at a time, so you'll have to do multiple runs to the turn-in up in Dire Maul, but you can solo the turn-in, like you don't have to fight any mobs, you can just run in and do it, just take some time. And you can buy all of the other stuff off of the auction house. You can also do this in Skullomance, and you gain gold for doing Skullomance, right? You're like getting, random blues that no one needs, you get a couple dark runes, you get some cloth, you get your Argent Dawn rep items. Skullomance is a beneficial farm, period, right? Just for doing. If you can reserve the Skin of Shadows, because a lot of people don't need them, then you can buy those other things off the auction house. Generally, on average, you get at least 2 Skin of Shadows per run. And you can sell the Skin of Shadows via the enchant. And the Skin of Shadows end up valuing around 25 gold plus per Skin of Shadow. So you end up basically making 50 gold an hour. It takes about an hour to do a Skullomance run on average. 50 gold an hour just off of Skin of Shadows alone, nothing else. You might also get a really good buy on a Libram, where that variance is additional profit for you, right? And you're also making whatever money you make out of running Skullomance anyway. So I was able to do that, and it's a very kind of like killing 7 birds with 1 stone type of farm, where you're just getting a lot of value out of all this stuff you're doing. And then you can stack the Arcanums, and you can have 6 of them in your bag at one time, and then just post up in Ogremar and sell them like as people are getting upgrades from BWL. That ends up being, I would say, on average for like hours of stuff you're doing, probably in the ballpark of like 75 gold an hour. The main thing that's a benefit of doing that farm is that if you need Argent Dawn rep, you need to do that anyway, right? Like you need to be doing some kind of dungeon to be able to get Argent Dawn rep. Once you're exalted with the Argent Dawn, that farm loses a little bit of value, and the leg enchants are negligible or not important come ZG. So you really only have this phase to do it. But it ends up being in the ballpark of 75 gold an hour. And it's a relatively enjoyable, like, low stress farm. You're not having to really, you're just running a dungeon. And you're not stealing stuff from anyone, like assuming no one else needs that stuff. Like most of the time people are running Scholomance for the dark runes or for the leather chest piece for the DPS, right? So most of the time people don't give a shit about you taking the skins. Too lazy for any of that. It does take some work. It's definitely it's not like a super straightforward gold farm, but it is really lucrative, and you don't usually have a lot of other people doing it. Or if they are, they're doing like 1 or 2 of them that they've just gotten extra stuff. Not a lot of people do that as their income. So that's what I've done for most of my gold. And we have a good amount of gold, right? 1,200 gold. That's the vast majority of my gold is from those. I've sold probably like 8 of those enchants. And if you get really good buys on certain things, they can be upwards of, you can make close to like 100 gold profit. Actually, I'm gonna drink first. 100 gold profit per one of those that you sell, which brings the value of the Skin of Shadows up to like closer to 50 gold a piece. So it could easily get to like 100 gold an hour type farm. Yeah, boosting for dungeon gold definitely can be helpful or like beneficial too. I haven't tried that, so I don't know for like the time input how much gold you actually can make. What kind of gold can you make doing that? Like, what do you charge for that, Cookie? The thing that's honestly really cool about druids, I'm assuming, Alan, if you're playing a druid, the thing that's sick is we have so many options for gold farming. You can run Mara. If you're herbalism, any kind of gathering profession, you really excel at that as a druid. You also can run people through dungeons effectively. You can solo various, dungeons. Like you can solo the first boss in Dire Maul North pretty effectively. We have just all kinds of options. This is actually really good. This isn't as much like raw gold farm, but the fact that we can easily do this and gather a bunch of demonic runes is really good. We got a 51 paladin coming over to our area. I will tell you guys, it feels amazing getting like 1700 damage crits unbuffed. It feels so much better than like using gear where your Starfires are hitting for like 650, 700 damage. Feels so good. It makes me even more excited for the later phases of content when our gear is just going to get better and better. Nowadays, I never have more than 200 gold on me, and I tend to spend it on Consumes and Lotus. Yeah, I have a lot of just raw gold right now. We definitely have some materials too, but I'm a little stingy with using my Black Lotus that I've gotten so far on consumables yet. This is our first time doing progression with BWL, so I want to kind of get the kinks worked out as far as our guild running, a little smoother and being more efficient as far as not having that much downtime before I spend that gold on the flasks. How many runes have we gotten? Like 10 so far? It's actually not bad. It's been like, what, like an hour? Damn, dude. I like that alpha change on the range indicator on that. It's pretty good. Lots of crits, you love to see it. Yeah, I'm excited though. Once we get where I feel it. We got a weapon coming to us sometime here soon. Once we get a weapon, We are gonna pop off. When I get a weapon, we're gonna flask and we're gonna go for #1 parses on whichever content we're able to do. Whether it's Molten Core, whether it's BWL, we are going for the rank 1 parses. It depends. I normally say pay me what you want. The highest I ever got was 30 gold for 1 run of Wailing Caverns. Jesus. You running like Richie Rich through some dungeons or what? 5 to 10 gold per run, and you get everything that they don't use. I can see that. I can see a lot of twinks paying for Wailing Caverns. This might be stupid because we don't have any mana. We got it though. Downrank Starfire. Bah. So we're almost at 40 demonic ruins, which is good. We're chilling for Sunday, for tomorrow. We need to we'll get one more demonic rune, and then I really need to get some other stuff for mana pots, but that's kind of boring. Let's see if there's anyone running runs. I'd be down to run another run. Pew pew some dungeons maybe. What's our Argent Dawn? Dude, our Argent Dawn rep, we're less than 800 rep away from Exalted. I accidentally just unequipped my weapon right there. Twinks are very popular on your server. Yeah, there's a good amount of twinks on my server too, actually. You think, okay, what are our odds? Over under 1 Noggin Fogger cast, we get tiny. I feel it. Dude. What are the odds of that? I feel like that's literally like a 2% chance that happens when I say it right there. Let's go, dude. Little tiny chicken. Oh, you love to see it. Don't worry, I don't want you, I want this thing. Nope, don't touch it. A little tiny chicken, dude. Bah, bah. Dude, 2200 Starfire crit. Holy shit, man. Buy a lottery ticket. For real. Should we go strat live? I also really like travel form and how like tiny and fast you are when you have Noggin Fogger. Little tiny cheetah. It'd be great to have the 4-piece of the Druid set and be just running around super fast. Grom's blood. Should we grab that for our warrior buddies? This guy said undead strat. They might have already filled. That's a fun one though. Oh, let's help our rogue buddy. Oh no, dude. Uber's run. It's a lot of dead. Speaking of twinks, there's a guy that camps the arena chest in STV only so no twink can get the trinket. He's there every day. That's pretty hilarious. Not gonna lie. It's pretty funny. Damn, I really wanted to get one more. Yeah, we have no warlocks. Shit. All right, we'll help these guys get a quick little Ubers run in. Just want to kill these last couple guys, see if we can get our last rune, get the clean 40, clean double stack. Hey. Nope. No luck. It's okay. We'll hurt real quick. Head that way. What's the character's name, Cookie? The Twink Farmer. It sounds really inappropriate. I don't want to deal with any of those patterns. Hopefully we don't get so tiny. Hopefully we don't get a rogue jumping us right now. Just a little tiny guy. Just a little tiny guy. You only know he plays a hunter. That's so funny though. You know what's funny? So like I leveled up a shaman twink on this server, and I got him all the way to the arena, and I'm like, okay, like I'll log in like the late midnight, you know, spawns or whatever. There's not gonna be anyone there. I log in, and like each corner, like four, like north, south, east, west of the arena are like groups of 3 or 4 people. Some of them horde, some of them alliance. Everyone is just standing on the outside like gladiators about to jump into the pit. And none of them are attacking each other. None of them are fucking with each other. Then as soon as they all jump in the pit when the chest spawns, it's just like the ultimate brawl. It's like demolition derby of WoW. It was so fucking funny. Like, I was level 10, so I got instantly fucked up. But it was so entertaining to watch because there's some low levels, there was some high levels, there was like high level friends helping escort a low level, and like other people doing the same thing. Like it It was the most entertaining dynamic. I was like, dude, this is actually hilarious. It was so much fun to watch. It's almost too intense for me, guys. Look how tiny we are, dude. I don't know why the party frames aren't. Oh shit! Of course, I look on the other monitor and that happens. See if we reload if it fixes the UI. There it goes. Little 360 dungeon entrance right there. Okay, we need to make sure we don't pull somehow. So funny looking, dude. If we use the world enlarger, interesting fact, it doesn't actually make you smaller. I thought they stacked, but you see, just replace the buff. And the world enlarger will break as soon as you go into combat, which is kind of shitty. I wish that wasn't the case. Do you guys do that too? Like, I constantly find little walls and stuff where I kind of like take my character as if I'm like skateboarding or snowboarding, and I like jump onto the little curb like as if I'm like grinding the curb, and then like do like a 360 jump off. I'm not the only person that does that. Oh, that Tony Hawk Pro Skater like this, like grind up this and then 360, bah, clean, dude. That was a clean landing. I'm gonna stealth here just because I don't want this thing to aggro me. This looks really interesting. Stealth, we're like moonwalking. Like we're just sliding so much faster than the legs move. Go, little guy, go. I feel like we're gonna get like an assassin's gonna jump us and we're just gonna get fucked. Alright, let's put on the other offhand. This is a really shitty fight for us because these chromatic dragons take significantly reduced caster damage. Jesus, dude, we're so small. Can we get a, we just keep getting skeletons. I'm fine with a skeleton. So I really should just focus Drac here because I don't do any damage to the other guys. See how much like reduced damage that is? I don't know if I have enough for another Moonfire here. I don't know why this is all kind of grayed out, like as if it's too far away. Not bad drops though. Draconian Deflector and the Rogue Chest. Gonna visit the Princess and Mara later on. I am gonna do that. I don't know if I'll do it today, but I am gonna do that at some point. It might be tomorrow, kind of like before raid, maybe tomorrow morning. Oh shit, dude, we have no port. Ghetto Earth. Yeah, but so I think tomorrow probably what we'll do is I'll probably get some Mara runs in, and then we could do like around the world buffs, because there's not that much content as far as how to do the world buffs. I was gonna make a video on that, like do it in this order to make sure you have everything. So maybe we'll do that, because I feel like that's a something that people should be like a little more informed on, because it's such a huge damage spike for us. This Ghetto Earth timing though. One of your warriors wants that shield Savali, the Draconian Deflector. Yeah, it's a good shield. Let's mail. I'm gonna mail some of this stuff off to the alt. Oh, nice. We got the blue or the green. Disenchant that bad boy. Telling you guys the various alts for like herbs and cloth, all that stuff, so huge, so huge. I'm gonna vendor that potion. Yeah, so okay, so here's what we got. Look at like our bags right now. If you guys can manage dealing with the Valentine's Day event, I actually really like the Valentine's Day event. I know a lot of people don't like it. But I really like it. This is what we got. These three are all the Thunder Bluff buffs. I don't have them turned into the next thing because they actually stack better like this. This is easier. But this is 2 Thunder Bluff buffs, which is 30 stam. That's big. Then right here, we're 1 moldy card away from having 2 of the Undercity buffs, which is 30 intellect. Then, drum roll please, we got the very cream. We got 16 of these. I got really lucky with this. 16 of these, which is 23 spell damage for 1 hour, which this is the one that I'm trying to get. These other ones are kind of useless. So this stacks with Arcane Elixir. So those in combination with Songflower, Dire Maul buffs, and Nixia buff all make me want to Flask, because that's massive, massive buffs. And on top of that, we got the Dark Moon Fair buff. When does that go away? Does that go away Sunday morning? Do I need to do the buff shit tonight? Because I need that Dark Moon Fair buff. That's going to be huge. One thing that's really shitty with this, though, is you can't mount with this Noggin Fogger Elixir on. Jesus, dude. Some of this stuff is like just too intense for me. That's how you're a good druid to the mages. Did you guys see that, what I did right there? You hit them with the Mark of the Wild, so they have more mana and spirit for their potion or their stuff. And then you hit them with the Innervate if they're not full mana. Any mage that's paying attention will love you if you do that. Oh, you know what we should have done? Actually, I can get one more on one of my alts, I think. Is I should have gone to Undercity and gotten one more moldy card. Actually, I'm going to do that first. The Valentine's Day's over soon, sadly. So what's going to happen, I believe, is that if you go to the Cupid guy, you can turn in your stuff to that Cupid guy, and whichever leader has the most turn-ins, whichever city, that is the city that the event is going to last for 1 additional week, which I think is going to be relevant to whichever buff, right? So like if Ogremar lasts for 1 more week, that means the agility buff will be available for an additional week. I feel stupid for taking the wrong port. Or for asking for the wrong port before. We need 1 more moldy card. Yeah, you emote / kiss the Cupid, yeah, and it gives you the 200 health bonus. Yep. Yeah, I know that one. That's a good one to get as well because you can get that in any city. We need to go to the innkeeper and buy the shit for this event. All we need though is 1 more moldy card. But then that way we have basically 2 hours, or I have at least 2 if we die or whatever, of 30 bonus stamina and 30 bonus intellect. And then since the chocolates last for 10 days after, we can then turn that stuff in after raid. Oops. And get more, hopefully get some more chocolates and stuff as well. So if I'm trying to farm these, either the pledges or the other ones, what I'll do is I'll go to the outside ring. And Undercity is actually pretty easy because it's a big circle. So by the time you get back to the other side, you actually, box of chocolates. Oh, bag of candies. Oh, whoa. I haven't seen that yet. That's pretty massive. Oh, no. It's just... I thought it was going to be these. This is just stupid shit. God damn it. So we just need 1 more of the cards, and then we're technically kind of set. Damn, dude. Come on. Actually, you only get one. They don't stack with each other? What do you mean? The city buffs? The various city buffs don't stack with each other? Are you sure? I thought you could have one in this. I thought they did stack because I thought I tried it. I popped them one after another and they overwrite the last one. Oh, okay. I can see that. That makes sense. I didn't know that because I didn't. Last week I just, or for Thursday, I just farmed all the intellect ones because that was the important one for me. So I'm gonna do this in a circle until I get broken heart. I jinxed myself. That was quick. That was short-lived, but at least we got enough. So we have two. We have 2 buffs. I'm gonna get rid of this pledge just to save a bag slot. That's good to know, though, that it will override. I'll follow you all around. These are so funny, dude. Is there like Japanese characters on them? Get rid of this stuff. These are pretty funny. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna hop off for a little bit. I'm gonna go get some food. I need to run a couple errands. I don't know if I'll be on tonight, but I am for sure going to stream our BWL progression tomorrow. It's gonna be a fresh clear. I don't know how far we're gonna get through it. Our raid time is 3 hours at 5:30 Pacific time. I don't know what time that is for you guys. 5:30 Pacific time tomorrow, we're gonna be doing BWL. Start to finish, we're gonna be decked out. We're gonna be fully world buffed going into it. Hopefully we don't have a stupid wipe. The chocolate stack, yes, Cookie Monsters. I do know that the chocolates do stack because I have. That's why I'm keeping all these. I'm just going to use them unless I get to where I'm like buff capped, but I don't think I'll be buff capped. But 5:30 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, Blackwing Lair progression. We're going to be going, oops, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to be going start to finish, see how far we get in 3 hours. Fully world buff, trying to do what we can to parse as high as possible. We're going to bring a flask just in case we're feeling a little excited and we want to pop that. But with that being said, I'm going to hop off for a bit. I might be back on a little bit later this evening. If not, though, come say hi tomorrow during the Blackwing Lair stream. Thanks for those of you guys that hung out. I do appreciate it. Had fun with you guys. I will be around a little bit later. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.